get in, and you might want to, especially if you're in Laramie County. So for those who are calling for some other reason, I got a guest in the studio right now, and one of my cameras over here is really off. I'm trying to get you up on Facebook to make sure everybody can see your nice, bright, pretty face. There you are. Okay, so it's the other camera up there that someone knocked off that I'm going to have to move around. Greg Taylor, candidate for Laramie County Sheriff, is in the studio with me. So if you have any questions for him, 632-6500 is the phone number. Thanks for coming in today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me in here this
So,
morning.
first off, what inspires you to run for sheriff for Laramie County?
I've been in law enforcement for over 20 years. I've been here in this area for right at 10 years. I've watched what's gone on for the last 10 years, and I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, I just can't watch it anymore.
Okay,
You know,
so what specifically has got you bothered?
Just a lot of it is the way that the employees of the sheriff's office have been treated. I have daily contact with a large number of them. I watch some of the activities that have taken place out in the community. My current job with the state of Wyoming, I look at a lot of investigations and cases that the sheriff's office has done, and through no fault of the employees working on it, they just haven't turned out right. I mean, I think a lot of that has been reflected in, the current situation with the district attorney and how those cases have been tried, and some of them won and some of them lost. Any good trial needs a good investigation. And once again, it's through no fault of the frontline employees.
So let's go back and start with your background. So originally you come from where?
Originally from Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
I was deputy sheriff in eastern Nebraska. I went from there, was a felony probation and parole officer in the state of Idaho, been a chief of police, and now with this job with the state of Wyoming, I've got a overall well-rounded view of the criminal justice system and how it works, from arrest investigation through the correctional system, the things that work, the things that don't work, and then this aspect of it, so.
Well, let's take a look at your current job here in the state of Wyoming. How would you describe that job?
I am an investigator for the state of Wyoming.
Okay.
I do work for the public defender's office. It's an interesting perspective. It's from the defense side. It hasn't really caused me to change anything as far as how I have done any investigations. As a law enforcement officer, every investigation I did to prove the person innocent. That's the whole basis of our constitutional system, is innocent until proven guilty. If you can't prove someone innocent in an investigation, you've essentially proven them guilty.
Okay. So now, if you were to take this job, Laramie County Sheriff, I guess are we just talking a difference in management styles then?
Absolutely difference in management style. One thing I've learned by being a manager and, being managed, I did spend some time working at the Postal Service right after I got out of the military. An employee's actions, attitudes, behavior, and performance are a mirror image of their management. And if I really had to ascribe any kind of level or label to the employees here, they're beat down. They're just beat down. I sat back just on my own to recall the number of people that I've seen go through the correctional side of it, and I came up with over 50 names in the last 5 years. And with an agency of this size, there's something fundamentally wrong there when you're going through that many people. The patrol side, I'm sure there's probably a similar percentage. You see someone and they're working a shift, and then you don't see them again, and you see, a name on an investigation, and then you don't see it again. So it's hard to keep track of them. It really is.
Greg Taylor is my guest. He's running for Laramie County Sheriff. Your questions are welcome. 632-6500 is the phone number. Grab the headset over there. This is hopefully a question coming in. Again, 632-6500. This is Glenn, who's on the phone with us.
Hi, I just want to tell Mr. Taylor why I'm voting for him.
Okay.
I've known a few very high-quality young men who were sheriff deputies, but Mr. Glick keeps them in the jail for 2 solid years before they're even allowed to apply for patrol. And after that first year, one said they saw Glick in the jail twice. And there is no option for these young men who are very, very well qualified, even with military backgrounds, to apply for patrol. And the 2 of them just couldn't deal with the jail anymore. Now, there are those who that's all they want to do is be jailers, and that's great, and that's a tough job. They have direct supervision in this county. I believe in most counties. Other counties are by computer. They sit in a room and watch everything. Anyway, then I know a volunteer who has been with the sheriff department for many years, has done search and rescue. She has very little respect for Glick, partly, and it's very shallow reason on this one, is that they were told that nobody else can wear a cowboy hat but him. And another person who has worked with the sheriff department, again, very well qualified, who's left for other law enforcement fields, said that Glick is all about the image. He's not about his men, his women, those underneath him. It's all about how he looks, and to heck with the rest of them. And it breaks my heart, because the 3 men that I am thinking of, again, have excellent qualifications, but under Glick, they saw no movement at all, no concern for his men, and that's pretty rotten. And it just saddens me because, yeah, Danny Glick is a very nice person, very popular, but as a manager of a law enforcement agency, your men should come first, and I include women in that too. Your guys who are on the front line should be paramount, because without them, you ain't got squat. And after spending a year, again, as a jailer, the one that I'm most closely have contact with, was totally disgusted, had nothing good to say about Glick. And it's the guys that are on the front line that, yeah, if they speak up, they're going to hear about it. So you may not see many of them coming out in support of another candidate, but believe me, the support is there. And I just appreciate you taking on this race. And I wish you the best, and you've got my vote as well as other people I know.
Well, thanks for calling in. Well, at least you got a fan out there.
Well, I appreciate the support, and I think what she says reflects a lot of the reasons that I am running. As far as the whole patrol and jail thing goes, starting in the jail and working your way to patrol, to be perfectly honest, that's an outdated method of selecting people for patrol. The most qualified person is the person that's going to get the job. There's a lot of individuals that will prefer working patrol over the correctional aspect. And as she said, there are people that they love working in the correctional side of it. The correctional side has more stability. You're going to start at this time. Hopefully you're going to end at this time, but with the ongoing and never-ending shortage of employees over there, that's not always true. But no, my thing is going to be, first and foremost, take care of the people that are doing the job. I've done it. I know what it's like. Up until a few months ago, I was working the road. You have to take care of your people, because they are the ones that make or break you. It's that simple.
Greg Taylor is running for Laramie County Sheriff, and your questions, you can get them in at 632-6500. This is Glenn, who's on the phone.
Yes, Glenn, this is Jack. I live in Nebraska, and I've lived in Nebraska off and on for over 30 years. I know a lot of law enforcement officers here. Tell me, I'd like to ask the candidate what he feels about nepotism in law enforcement, hiring relatives, family members. Where does he stand on that?
Okay.
I am adamantly opposed to hiring family members. First of all, it creates what I feel to be an unsafe work environment. Secondly, it doesn't leave a level playing field in anyone's mind. There is always that thought, well, that person just got the job because they're related to the sheriff. No, I don't like nepotism. I myself have been a victim of a nepotistic agency. Where I worked, prior, it was a sheriff that made getting elected the entire job. The sheriff directly to the north of there made doing the job the way he got elected. And I tend to model myself after that. But no, as far as nepotism, hiring relatives, nope, I'm not for that.
Greg Taylor is candidate for Laramie County Sheriff. Your questions are, well, if you want to jump in, you got a couple of minutes to do it before the end of the program. And I want to talk to you about some of your campaign ads, which you talk about patrolling out in the county and how you'd be doing that, not just sitting here in the office. More in just a moment. It's AM 650 KGAB Radio.
The redesigned 2018 Ford Expedition is exceeding all expectations. Power, comfort, tech, Laramie Peak Motors in Wheatland is ready to get you in the driver's seat. With the new 10-speed transmission, it's best in class in towing for SUVs. Storage capabilities have never been better, and the Wi-Fi hotspot keeps everyone happy. As far as what the experts say, Motor Trend says Expedition is now the class leader. Kelley Blue Book says there's simply no comparison. So what do you have to say? Come test drive one today. Check out our Expedition inventory at LaramiePeakMotors.com.
The Army National Guard is committed to keeping the country safe and our communities secure. Composed of hundreds of thousands of citizen soldiers from all walks of life and in every corner of America, the Guard is always ready to respond to local or national emergencies. The Army National Guard reacts to domestic operations in each of America's 54 states and territories, including Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Guam, and the District of Columbia. Each state National Guard's unique domestic role is to act as the first line of defense in support of civil authorities in their state. The Guard's emergency responses include search and rescue missions for floods, combating wildfires, hurricane and tornado recovery, and the presidential inauguration. The Army National Guard. We are always ready. We are always there. And in every state and territory, we stand guard for our communities. To learn more, log on to nationalguard.com. Sponsored by the Wyoming Army National Guard. Aired by the Wyoming Association of Broadcasters and this station.
A lifetime of love, you lived a lifetime of love.
When the time comes to say goodbye, it's a chance to remember their gifts to us.
Dad used to love his walks along here.
His love will be with us every step of the way.
Life moves on, but love lasts more than a lifetime.
A lifetime of love.
Memories of a Lifetime of Love. Schrader, Aragon, and Jacoby Funeral Home.
Jetty Gordon on her husband, Mark Gordon.
Mark Gordon's my husband. We're ranchers and true partners. He'll just show up to help a neighbor who needs it. That's how he is. We're also a blended family. As a father, Mark taught his girls to be strong and my boys to be respectful. And I've learned that when Mark Gordon says he'll do something, you know it'll get done. That's one reason I trust him so much. We could use more of that.
Mark Gordon, Republican for governor.
Paid for by friends of Mark Gordon.
News when it's convenient for you and never a cover charge at KGAB.com or straight to your mobile with Radio Pub on the App Store or Google Play.
7:50 is the time. It's AM 650 KGAB Radio. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. Sitting next to me is Greg Taylor, candidate for Laramie County Sheriff. So I'm going to go right back to the phones real quick, and then I got a couple more questions for you. This is Glenn. Who's on the phone with us?
Hi, Glenn. This is Micah.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got a couple questions. One for Greg. The county is so large, so I was just wondering if you have any plans for making our sheriffs more effective throughout the entire county, because they've got an awful lot of territory to cover. And then also for the recidivism rate in the jail, do you have any plans for bringing in programs or doing what other places around the country have done to reduce that recidivism rate?
Okay, very good question. In fact, let me follow up on that real quick, because one of the first things I thought of when I listened to some of your campaign ads is, yeah, it's typical Wyoming County, huge area, and yet you only have so many resources to cover it. So when someone makes a call, it can be a while before a deputy can even get out there. So you said you had some ideas to change that, including patrolling yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one things I really enjoy doing as a law enforcement officer is active patrol. The first level of law enforcement, this is Cop 101. The first level of law enforcement is presence. If you're not there, you can't do anything. just being out there, people seeing a sheriff's office vehicle driving by different times, different days, early in the morning, middle of the afternoon, late at night. Yeah. What also has to take place in order to accomplish that is there has to be an analysis of where the calls are at, and it's going to take a while to get that pinned down insofar as, okay, we've had these calls here, we've had these calls here. Where I live out in the county, one of the things that I'm sure is quite a few results in quite a few calls in to the sheriff's office, most likely to the highway patrol, are the truckers at the truck stops and the constant running of the stop signs. And I don't know how many people I've seen almost get killed out there at the TA because the guys just blow the stop signs right in front of them. And even if you're sitting there and finishing a report or something like that, which is what I used to do, I would go to a high traffic crime area and sit there in the vehicle and write the report so that at least you have a presence there. As far as the programming in the jail and stuff like that goes, being a former felony probation parole officer, you have to have some aspect of programming in the jail. And it's going to be, initially, I'm going to have to find out what statutorily is allowed and is not allowed and then address it from there. But with these individuals sitting in there and all they're really doing is watching TV all day, there isn't anything, I would say, that would preclude bringing in a type of a cognitive self-change program, a moral recognition therapy, something to where you can sit them down and say, okay, look, you seriously can't be enjoying being here in jail, so let's give you some information. Let's provide some treatment. Let's provide some education. Let's at least try something to where you're not coming back. Wyoming is interesting insofar as it doesn't really have a formal probation system for misdemeanor. So there's no misdemeanor probation officers is kind of what I'm saying. So we're relying on the individual to go forth and not commit crime again. We need to start giving them the tools to not do that, to reduce the recidivism rate. It's a proven statistic. For every dollar you spend on education and treatment, it saves you up to $3 in incarceration costs. The jail is full most of the time. So I think we need to start addressing that. One thing I've seen, and I've seen this evolution take place 2 other locations, the drug aspect of crime is starting to pick up. I mean, unfortunately, we have a legalized marijuana state to the south of us, and we're seeing some of the consequences of that action. So there's a lot of things that I will sit down and take a look at, and like I said, unless I'm statutorily prohibited from doing it, we're going to go ahead and try it.
Now, you mentioned, just for a second there, you mentioned budgeting. So with just a couple of minutes before Rush Limbaugh does his morning update, let's talk budget for a moment. Because, again, you only have so much in resources as far as manpower, but then again, you only have so much of a budget for a huge area that you have to cover.
Well, one of the things that I am going to do after I'm elected is do a top-to-bottom review of the organizational structure and the salaries that are being paid to some of the individuals over there. The money is there. It can be found. It needs to, as I said, be a fundamental restructuring over there to more reflect what's going on out in the world as far as crime and what's going on in the jail as far as why people are there and what we need to do to help them not come back.
I got more calls on hold, but we're out of time. One of the advantages to living in a place like Wyoming is people can go ahead and talk to the candidate anytime they want. So how do people get a hold of you? How can they ask you more questions?
Facebook page is Greg Taylor for Laramie County Sheriff, and if anyone wants, you can call my cell phone, 701-6165. I'll talk to anybody anytime.
And this will be posted up on our website at KGAB.com, the entire interview, and the video as well, Facebook and our YouTube page. Coming up just moments away from now, seconds away, Rush Limbaugh's morning update. Then we'll have Fox News, local news with Doug. We'll have an update with the weather forecast with Mark from dayweather.com. Then you and I get back into it for another hour of programming. It's AM 650, KGAB Radio, KGAB.com. Rush Limbaugh's morning update happens right now.